Progress.
Hi everyone, today we'll be sharing our project on the future of organizations and work. Before we start, let me introduce my teammates. I'm Hao, and I'll be giving a brief introduction on our chosen company and also identify some of the issues faced in the organization. Next, we have Mao, who will be doing some analysis on the issues involved. Following will be Jay and also Marcus, who will share some of the recommendations based on theories and framework we have learned in this module, and of course conclude the presentation later on. So this is the table of contents. Firstly, the organization we chose is Astrans. Astrans is a logistic company based in Singapore. It is an SME incorporated in 1994, providing global logistics, freight forwarding, and warehouse solutions. The founder of Astrans is Edmund Chew, and the company is committed to always over-deliver for each customer and ensuring excellent customer service level at all times based on these four philosophies: focus, integrity, reliability, and manageable, which adds up to firm. One of the notable projects by Astrans was in 1998 when they successfully transported a 70-feet live Christmas tree on the SIA Mega Arc into Singapore. This was awarded in the Singapore Book Records for flying in the longest perishable item. Over time, Astrans also participates in providing logistics support for disaster relief work as part of giving back to society. Now I'll talk about some of the issues faced within organizations. This information was given to us from managerial staff in Astrans through an informal conversation. So the subject, however, chooses to remain confidential, therefore will not mention her identity. The first issue shared to us was that most business decisions were solely made by the CEO himself without consulting anyone or stakeholders. The company is also not willing to accept new changes to improve as a whole under the influence of the CEO. Secondly, the CEO rewards the team when they reach their target goals, but when things go wrong, the boss puts the blame on the team instead of himself. The sum goals that set can be unrealistic and impossible to achieve at all. This is further implied when the manager herself mentioned the amount of stress she's receiving from the CEO when the team fails to meet the target. The next issue will be that sales will be declining for the next past 2 years due to the pandemic. But despite several recommendations and ideas given, the CEO is not receptive to change and strictly believes in his own ideas and managing styles. This has caused low morale among employees. Lastly, the manager also shared that the higher management is focusing on earning more money instead of setting realistic long-term goals and improving work situation in the company. She also shared that in the office, everyone is also working alone and quietly without much interaction, making the office a very dull place. So in this next slide, we have an incident summary on a case of bad debt, thus affecting sales and profits. Firstly, the management did not do a background check on the company is doing business with. Furthermore, the transaction was accepted in credit terms instead of upfront payment, which allowed the customer to buy time and default payment. As a client delay or avoid payment, the goods confiscated in the warehouse incur additional costs for storage. Moreover, additional manpower and resources has to be made to source for another buyer. Despite this incident, the CEO believes in the traditional way of verbal agreement through trust and relationship rather than a signed agreement. I'll now pass on the time to Kifma.
Hi, I'm Tfow. Now, let's take a look at the analysis. Based on our interview and exchange on issues with the manager, we found out that the leadership style is transactional leadership. So, what is transactional leadership? It's a style of leadership that follows the principle of reward and punishment, in which an act that is good will merit a reward, while the opposite will result in a punishment. Also, clear structures will be given to subordinates to follow, but makes the subordinates responsible for their actions if things go south, despite the instructions being given to them by the leader. So at Astrans, management provides incentives for good performance and punishes the staff for not meeting their goals, and also blames the staff when things go wrong and not on the leadership. Employees are not encouraged to come up with new ideas. Instead, the CEO has a strict system the employees should stick to and pursue the goals they have been tasked with. So these 3 points show that Astrans follow transactional leadership style. High power distance. High levels of inequality, so decisions are made by the highest ranking personnel. In this instance, is the CEO who takes decisions by himself. As the power is centralized, the manager relies on the CEO and the rules, so employees do what they are told without questioning, in fear of losing their jobs. Fundamental attribution error is the tendency to ignore the situational factors and exaggerate on the personal factors, such as attitudes, ability, and personality. Blames the staff when things go wrong and not on the leadership. The CEO thinks that the staff did badly because they are bad in general and ignores these factors such as lower demand for logistics and the environment, for example, the current ongoing pandemic. Next, I'll pass to Jay.
Hi everyone, Anwei here. I'll be sharing on 3 recommendations that restaurants could take. Firstly, we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are 5 key attributes to it. There are the psychological aspects, such as basic necessities, food, shelter, and sleep. If the individual has the capability to be self-sustainable, that they do not have to be constantly worried about their individual and family's well-being, such as having the fear of not having enough to pay for food or rent, this energy could be better utilized at work and be more productive. Next, security. With a safe working environment and having job security, employees will be more dedicated without the fear of losing jobs. This could further enhance the employee commitment and loyalty to the company. Moving on to social relationships with customers, suppliers, and fellow colleagues. Connections, networks are formed, and interpersonal relationships created. This could last a lifetime, so that everyone have a sense of belonging and recognition in their own capacity. Moving on to esteem, having the need of self-confidence in their individual capability and skills, with dignity and respect at work as an individual capacity. Self-actualization, seeking their own personal growth and realizing maximum potential with the desire to accomplish their goals. In summary, the theory states that humans are motivated to fulfill the needs. This order begins from the most basic needs such as psychological and lastly to self-actualization. Next, we're talking about how setting SMART goals could be vital for restaurants. We have 5 key attributes to this goal. Having a specific and clear objective for the goal, such as achieve an increase in sales and profits for a certain amount. How can they do it? Targeting new business segmentation, probably partnering with new merchants as their business partners. Having a measurable goal within a range of 10 to 20% increase in sales, achievable with an increase in demand for online shopping, freight forwarding services sales should increase as well. The relevance, restaurants have the network potential to tap a wide range of resources required for their freight forwarding services. A time frame of a certain period, for example, 3 years. Lastly, my recommendation, allow the lower management to contribute without fear. Employees will be motivated to contribute their ideas. Give them an assurance that they will be respected and not threatened with their dismissal for bad ideas. Always recognize and reward contributions and encourage, even if the idea is not relevant. This comes to an end to my presentation. I'll pass on to the last speaker, Marcus. Thank you.
This is Marcus here. The 4th recommendation Astros can look into is the transformational leadership style. There are 4 components to this leadership style, and they are the idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and lastly, individualized consideration. This table sets out what each component means, how to achieve, and what is the result. So for the first one, idealized influence means being a charismatic leader and act as a role model for the followers. This can be done through the management selection, hiring process. This will result in higher motivation and productivity. For inspirational motivation, it is the capability to encourage the right behavior in each employee inspirationally. Basically, you have to speak with confidence and not talk about uncertainty. This improves the employee's commitment, and they will definitely work towards the goal together. For intellectual stimulation, it simply means to allow employees to innovate and come up with new ideas. This can be done by creating a culture or programs that will allow employees to challenge the old ways of doing things. This boosts whistleblowing and will result in higher sales due to new ideas. Lastly, for individualized consideration, it means to pay attention to people around you. This can be done by coaching, listening, and paying attention to the employee needs, personality, and wants. It gives the employee a sense of belonging, thus they work harder and reduce any retention. To sum up, transformational leader sets an inspirational yet realistic, achievable vision for the organization. They adapt by mobilizing others to create the necessary change that will actualize a different outcome. They're able to guide the organization in the right direction that will increase long-term viability of the company. So, however, leaders need to take note that individuals have different personality types, differing perception, different decision-making style, and different values. For example, an introvert do not like to be praised publicly. Hence, a different form of appreciation will be better suitable and better for them. Leaders can look into the big 5 personality traits to understand better on how to embrace this leadership style better and understand if he or she is the right job fit or organizational fit. It is important for leaders to remember that a person's behavior depends on the match between the person and situation. And when perceiving others, the attribution we make will determine how we respond to the situation. Understanding the process and different personality will help the leaders understand why and the employees act like that. A very good example is Richard Clarkson from Virgin Group. He pays attention to the concerns of needs of the individual followers, change the awareness of their issues and help them to look at old problems in the new ways. He also excites and inspires followers to put forth extra effort to achieve group goals. Right. Lastly, extras can look into offering flexibility. So one very good example is the flexible office time. Recent experiment on this shows that flexible hours actually help boost their creativity and things which then lessen what they think of at the office, enabling them to focus more on work and increase productivity because they have more time on their hands to do necessary personal stuff. Not only that, this also fosters a workplace based on trust and increased communication across different departments. However, if leaders want to adopt this recommendation, they need to take note that they need to do everything they can to avoid confusion as they are not meeting face-to-face, and as well as communication tools has to be accessible for the employees. This will improve the loyalty, engagement, and retention, which helps the company productivity and its bottom line. In conclusion, we have offered 5 recommendations which will address the issues of extras. So, however, if extras wants to scale it a bit further, the organization not only has to adapt to the challenging business environment, but also act and resolve its own internal company issues such as attitude and leadership, and always looking ahead to understand each individual needs and wants. A company goal that is only driven by management will not succeed far alone. By involving the employees and staff and stakeholders to be united as one would have a higher probability of succession. Thank you.